Hey everyone, it's Michael and here from goodyreader.com.
This is Peter from goodyreader.com.
And this is a special late night Wednesday edition of the show. Today, what are we talking about?
We are talking about the Onyx Books Color, which is the Onyx Books Poke 2 color. It's Onyx's first crack at the mainstream line of Kaleido e-ink that is running color. But before we get into that, we're just going to look a little bit of the history of color and how we kind of got up to today. So let us kick it off with what happened back in 2010. Mike, what happened with 2010 and Hanvon?
So they released like the first consumer e-reader that used e-ink Triton, which was comprised of a TFT backplane, ink layer, glass-based color filter layer, and a protective sheet. Basically, it was like it was a large screen display, but the resolution was pretty poor at only 1280 by 720.
Right.
Could only display 4096 colors. One of the drawbacks of the tech at the time was that, um, we only had e-ink Pearl back then. So, like, they didn't really have, tremendous resolution. The
Right.
PPI was really low. The refresh was low. You had a lot of ghosting, just because like they hadn't developed any good waveform controllers yet. So that's why like older e-readers perform pretty poorly, because e-ink Pearl was like sort of like the first major consumer iteration of e-ink, and that was like the fundamental technology, and all they really added was like a color filter layer on top of that.
Now, I remember when the Hanvon first came out in 2010, we were just getting started. We were about 2 years into the business. And I remember we went to a couple trade shows, and when we saw the color, it was amazing to us because we had already been kind of knowledgeable about what e-ink is and why it looks the way it does. But a lot of people looked at color e-ink and they didn't know what they were looking at because they associated their mind with color is vibrant and it moves quickly and it's fluid. And then they saw an e-reader and it looked all gray and washed out and fuzzy, and people adjusted their glasses and wiped their eyes, and they were like, why is this so slow? I mean, my Apple iPad and all my other things are so much quicker. Or I guess not the iPad at that point, but whatever tablets were available are so much quicker than this thing I'm looking at. And then they hear the price tag and it's $700, $800, $1,000 for these things. So yeah, a lot of what Mike said is just like it just the capabilities weren't what they are today on the older stuff. And in 2011, another company got into it, which is JetBook. JetBook made the JetBook Color in 2011.
So as
Mike
yeah,
showing some technical stuff.
this is basically how the first color was done. You can see that they're
Right.
individual sort of squares, and they did R, like red, green, blue,
RGB.
and
Yeah.
yeah, including like black and white pixels, which you can see here. So this would be like the text. The white would be like, the white screen, and like this would actually be like color, like ebook cover
Right.
art or whatever.
Yeah, so there was a lot of technology that it kind of relied on when it first came out, and it was hard to sell people on something that was underperforming, heavily performing well on what e-ink is, but in the grand scheme of people looking at cell phones and computer screens, and this is when smartphones were starting to come out, so people started to get a little bit spoiled by having this slate in their pocket, and then they go to color e-ink from a Kindle and they're like, oh, it's color, oh my god, oh, it's $800, okay, I'll try it, and it's just slow and sluggish and it doesn't look great. You can kind of see some schematics, and you can do highlights on things like the JetBook Color 2, which actually came out the year later in 2012. This one had 1600 by 1200 resolution. It was again using Triton, but this one was using Triton 2 on their second gen.
Yeah, so what Triton one had a grid of 2 by 2 pixels with a square filter. Triton 2 basically had the same color display, but instead of using square pixels, it used rectangular pixels. And the thought between that was that they would be able to offer a higher DPI for like colors, but basically it came down to it that like all the first generation color, like the Ataco Jetbook Color, the Jetbook Color 2, the Hanvon, they were all like $400 plus and plateaued at around $900. The I believe that the Pocketbook Touch Lux Color, or the Lux Color, was the cheapest. I think it was like $399.
Yes, that one actually came out the next year in 2013. The Pocketbook Color Lux came out with their line of color, and that actually remains one of the only mainstream companies that are still alive today that still regularly make e-ink devices that have actually had one of the first cracks at color. Pocketbook did it a long time ago, and they actually still to this day have the latest version of color too in what we all know, the Pocketbook Color.
Yeah, so basically, after the, basically Ectaco spent a lot of money on the Jetbook Color 1 and the Jetbook Color 2. They
Yeah.
didn't recoup their costs because they were just too expensive for consumers to buy at that time. And there was like no retail availability. They weren't selling them like on Amazon. They were selling them on their own site. And like they
That's
were
right.
they were really not doing any marketing. So basically the failure of that killed the company. They stopped making e-readers. I believe that they stopped making another part of their business, which was language translators.
Right, right.
These like sort of handheld devices that would do like English to French only or French to German only, and they were like $400 or $500. Now, basically, they're actually just an e-reader distributor now. They just sell other people's products on their site and Amazon
Yeah.
and other retail channels. So they got out of e-readers altogether. Hanvon got all out of e-readers altogether. So basically, out of like the early adopters of e-ink Triton 1 and 2, Pocketbook was the only one that did it a little bit later than those guys, but they're still around today. Everyone else just like bowed out of like it
Everyone else
altogether.
is. That's right. I'm gonna do a quick delay here. Moises Maciel from Brazil just had a donation for us and says, "I'm a big fan of the channel and e-ink technology. Greetings from Brazil." Thank you very much. We appreciate your support. And just a little bit of a little note for today. Why we are doing it at this kind of midweek time slot is because our regular time on the weekend is great for most people, but there's a lot of time zones where people actually can't watch it because it lands at around 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 1 in the morning. So we're using this as a little bit of a testing platform to see if this time slot works a little bit better for you guys, and we'll adjust things in the future. So that was just a little bit of a thing there.
Yeah, we sort of cater to a majority of a Canadian North American audience because that's
Yeah,
like where the vast majority of our readers are. But we know on
right.
YouTube people are from time zones all over the world. So hopefully with like a
That's
later
correct.
show, a Europe, and Asia, like it's sort of like early morning for those guys there. So
Right.
hopefully you'll be able to catch us live rather just on the VOD.
Now, for all you guys that listen to our little 2010 to 2013 history of the Color e-ink, we noticed that there were a couple guys that did catch that Fujitsu was actually the first company to make true color e-ink back in 2009, a full year before Hanvon did. And this goes to credit for another tech supporter who commented on one of our videos, and it's actually called the Fujitsu Flippia, and we'll put some information down below in the description if you want to see it. It retailed for $1,000, and granted, this was 11 years ago, so that was a pretty penny. It was very expensive. It was never released outside of Japan. It had 260,000 colors on an 8-inch screen. It was really interesting. It was commercially available for a very short time, and it was extremely expensive. So thank you for the user who pointed that out to us. We did some diving in, and yes, it was actually e-ink. It wasn't LCD or anything like that.
So basically, modern day color e-paper.
Right.
So the first branding was E-Ink Triton and E-Ink Triton 2. Triton 1 was developed sort of around like 2008, 2009-ish, but the first commercial product didn't come out to really sort of the end, sort of 2011.
Right.
E-Ink Kaleido was developed around November, December of 2019, and we started to see like smartphones first from HighSense, but then we also started to see a number of e-readers popping out of Asia. Now, what's the
Yeah.
difference between Kaleido and the other technology? Well, the color of filter array is a bit better. They basically made it for glass based or non-glass based color filter arrays. It's thinner and lighter than previous generations while having
Right.
higher optical quality. And so this really sort of allows e-readers to use black and white e-paper at a higher DPI and then color at a different DPI. Whereas like the older e-readers, they just had poor black and white, pixels per inch, and the
Right.
color really sucked as well, whereas this one sort of does it on the pixel basis, so
Yeah.
you still have 4096 colors, which was the same as E-Ink Triton 1 or Triton 2, but basically they increased the colors from squares, from rectangles to individual pixels. So it's sort of like OLED TVs where like everything is on like a pixel based instance. So
Right.
the way that this Kaleido technology works is that you can see black and white text at 300 ppi and color at 100 ppi. This is just the first generation of Kaleido. E-Ink did announce at sort of the end of this year they'll have the second generation of Kaleido, which will have higher resolution, more colors, better grayscale uniformity, and they'll be able to make it for higher screen displays. So I think e-notes,
Right.
7.8 inch e-notes, 10.3 inch e-notes, we'll start to see those coming around. So yeah, the first wave of Kaleido devices actually trounced the number of devices that took advantage of Triton 1 or 2. If you think about it, it was Hanbon, it was two Jetbook colors and a pocketbook color, and then like the Fujitsu, which basically never came out. So that's four.
Never. Yeah.
We saw two smartphones from HighSense. We saw three
Yeah,
color
so let's
e-readers
do it.
just
Let's do it in order then. So basically, yeah, the on this current wave, the iReader came out with the iReader C6. iReader has been in the business for a little bit of time. They have another Chinese holding company that's been in business for decades. But in terms of e-readers, they're relatively new to the business. They're Chinese only, meaning they're only available in China. They don't really have a lot of certification stamps on the devices, which means that it's not really meant for other markets. We sell them. We have gained a business relationship with them, and they actually made a couple e-notes, and they actually made an X pen, which is phenomenal. It's one of the best Wacom pens on the market. But what we noticed is that the screen is a little bit washed out. It's really blue when you turn that light on, and like Michael said, you're only able to see color at 100 ppi, which means it doesn't matter what your ppi is on the device. When it comes down to the actual color, your PDFs, your schematics, manga, graphic novels, it looked kind of blurry and faded. It wasn't as crisp as, say, a Kindle Paperwhite on black and white. The color, just something looked a little bit off. If you want to elaborate on that, Mike.
Yeah, so let's take a look at sort of uh how this technology is different from E8 Triton 1 and 2.
Right.
So as you saw with the older ones, it was like different. Now what
Right.
you have is the color filter array on top and E-Ink Carta on the bottom, whereas before it was sort of done on the same layer. So now you have like, each individual sort of pixel here, right? You have your E-Ink Carta HD layer here, Regal waveform controller is actually controlling that, which is why it's like higher performing 300 ppi, and it's using e-ink Regal waveform controllers. A waveform controller is a better way to affect the positive and negative charge of black and white e-ink particles. We talked about this on last Saturday's show, and we showed pictures
Right.
of it, so I won't get into it again. But yeah, they have the color filter array on top, and as you can see, it's done in the same way, so you could actually see more colors like here. And the one thing about Kaleido is not only does it do red, green, and blue, but it actually does shades of colors as well. So it'll create new colors as well. So you just won't get these three colors like you would with color price labels. You know, with those, it
Right.
only really shows like red, green, blue, and that's it. With this, it can actually create shades.
And those have actually been out for a long time. SES Amagatag sent us some samples a while back, years back, and supermarkets, electronic stores, they've been using SES Amagatag and other tricolor, four color e-ink panels for a long time. They're mostly, like Mike said, displays like bus bench ads and schedules and a little bit of price tag information, but they're not supposed to show movement. They're just supposed to be like sale with a big red, square or something like that. So after we saw the iReader, we saw Ifly Tech, which again is another company that came out with a very, very similar technology to iReader. It's basically the same thing. And Michael right here is sharing a screen and showing you how it all works with the front light and everything.
Yeah, so this was a bit different with the image showed you just previously. It kind of showed you how
Right.
like the e-ink particles were on the bottom and this was on the top. This sort of gives you like a different perspective. So what I was talking about, the positive and negative e-ink particles, this is like how it does it here. And then the color filter array is on top of that. And then you have
Right.
the front light display that's on top of that as well. And how Peter mentioned that the iReader and the iFly Tech were using this. They were actually, instead of just using a white LED like screen, they were actually using blue LEDs too. So you actually were getting like a blue hue when you engage the
That's
front light
right.
display. One of the limitations on Kaleido as it stands now is that you basically need the front light always on because you need to
Yeah.
be able to see the colors, as you saw here. Like this is a picture of the light, and the light is actually hitting the different filter arrays here, and then you have the front light on as well. So basically, unless you're standing exactly like in a sun, like on a full sunny day, whereas like this is like the dark days of fall and winter for a lot of people right now, except if you live in
Right.
Australia. I guess it's summer
Or
there now.
Singapore, where it's sunny every day, right, Kevin? He's
Yeah.
a Singapore gentleman here.
Yeah, so
Yeah, no, for sure.
this basically explains it all. It doesn't like show the glass layer that the iReader and
Right.
the iFly Tech were
Actually, yeah,
using.
the iFly Tech, what they did is they took this image that Michael's sharing you right now, and they added a flush screen bezel, which means they're putting even more hindrances between your eye and the actual surface. The pocketbook, the Onyx, and the iReader all used sunken screen and bezels, which basically allows you to get a little bit easier viewing experience. But the HighSense phones and the iFly Tech used a flush screen and bezel. And though it looked beautiful, it wasn't that great to look at. And if you notice the HighSense phones, they're all glass screens, and I mean glass. They are super reflective, piano black glass I'm talking about. But it is interesting about the HighSense. Not only is HighSense the only one not using a 6-inch screen, they're using 5.4, whatever the case may be. They actually are the only ones out of the current lineup, other than Onyx, who had a speed mode. They actually had a speed mode, and why this was important is because Pocketbook, iReader, iFly Tech, all these guys that were making color, they couldn't do anything but just look at these static, stale images. If anything moved on the screen, is game over. It's slow, it's sluggish, it wasn't good. The HighSense had a speed mode where you can actually speed everything up and you reduce the quality of the image, retain the color, and have a very, very smooth experience. You could even watch videos on this thing, as Mike's showing you right there, where we played the Goody Reader intro in one of our videos, and we played some stock royalty-free footage on the HighSense phone. It was the first Color e-ink phone that was able to do that.
Yeah, totally. And like sort of looking at what we were just talking about like the
Yeah,
sort of the Chinese things. See, if you're
right.
outdoors in the sun, you don't need the front light on. It looks really good.
No,
You know what I mean?
it
It just
does.
like
Yeah,
it you see like clear colors. Where you were shooting this really outdoors, so the
right.
colors on a screen like tremendous. The color resolution on like a PDF here looks really good.
It looks fine. Yeah,
Then we have the front light on in a room, and you could actually see the blue background here, and
that's
that's
right.
because they're using blue LED lights along with white LED lights along the bottom of the display here that projects light evenly across the screen, unlike the smartphone that has like a backlit display, so it's like shining light in your eyes. If you look at
Yes,
sort of like an iPhone or something, look how bright this looks on the screen.
I
That's what's
know.
shining in your eyes. So
Someone
yeah.
said, I like that you're using Firefox instead of Chrome, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I
I'm a
don't know.
big
A
fan of
little
it.
bit of a shout out there. Yeah. Now all of these kind of negatives we're talking about, the lack of being able to read it outside, inside under low light conditions, having the blue light on. This kind of all changed with this. This is the Onyx Books Poke 2 Color, basically a color e-reader from Onyx. Now, when you look at it with the glow light off, it is kind of dark, but it's not as reflective as those other guys. You can see it's a matte finish. It's not piano black like a smartphone screen like the Ifly Tech or the HighSense. This one is actually really nice. And the most important thing about this is that not only is it running Android 9, which means compatibility is not a problem anymore with anything, it has the capability of going into different modes. Now, something very interesting is that when you go to X mode, which was on previous iterations of Onyx products, it actually turns off all the color. So, although it's very smooth, you actually can't look at color video on the smoothest setting. You can look at color on speed mode, or A2 mode, and you can watch videos, and we've shown it on our review video. You can watch Facebook and YouTube or whatever. But X mode removes all the color, which is actually very interesting because it shows you can do it via software.
Yeah, well, and this is something that E-Ink said that was impossible to do, that the color
Right,
filter array couldn't be turned off with software. But Onyx figured out a way. Whether this is a
right.
bug or not remains to be seen. But you can see here that this is it like on speed mode, and this is it
Yeah,
on the same picture on X mode. It turns the color filter array off. You see like a white background and like black and white text at 300 ppi. So the Poke 2 Colors, the only
yeah,
e-reader that allows you to do that. And you can
that's
see
right.
that like here, the e-ink color e-ink really pops because you don't have a layer of glass on the screen, as a lot of the other e-readers that we showed you, the Ifly Tech, the iReader, they all have glass-based displays. So if you're reading outside, you're going to get glare from the sunlight, or if you're in a very well-lit room like this with overhead light, you'll get glare on the screen unless you use a matte based screen protector. But with this, you don't really need it because it's like
No,
clear and exposed e-paper. So you can see image quality when you're browsing Google Play, super solid.
that's another thing. It's got Google Play on there, which basically means you can download anything that supports up to Android 9. So if you're going to ask these questions like, can I do email? Can I do OneNote? Can I do OneDrive, Google Drive? Yes, you can do everything.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about the Poke 2 Color, I just wrote like a huge like review on it, as I'm
Yes,
referencing here. Peter and the team produced an unboxing video as well as a review video, so we have those on the post as well. We rated it very highly, 4.75 like out of 5. Um, we like the color screen, the excellent frontlit display, Google Play and Android point
yeah,
0.9. Color contact looks amazing, and it's a dedicated e-reader, not like an e-note or digital note-taking
that's
device.
right.
Why
Yeah.
don't you expand upon the pros here?
Yeah, so basically when Mike and the team wrote excellent front lit display, that was actually from me and my team looking at the glow light, because we noticed out of all 6 now of the Color E-Ink devices that are on the market, Onyx was the only one that wasn't blue. You turn it on and it was white, and we were like, oh man. So we instantly got on the horn and did a little teleconference, and we're like, dude, the iReader, the HighSense, the Ifly Tech, everyone up until this point has been this blue, color balance issue thing. Onyx figured it out. Not only did they figure out how to turn off the color array with X mode, whether it's a bug or not, we don't know, of course, but they also figured out the glow light, that it doesn't look terrible and it's actually quite nice. And yeah, it's fantastic. And the fact that it's running Google Play is even better. Now, there is no SD card. It's kind of expensive, as you saw the cons there, but it's
It's
not
like
going to break the bank.
279 US.
Right. And in fact, that is cheaper than both the iReader and the Ifly Tech, which are the other 2 choices on the market. It's such a good package. And again, though, you see, it's just rather dark without that glow light on. But when you do turn the glow light on, it's white. So it's actually a breath of fresh air to see that. Also, with those other guys, the pocketbook, the iReader, all those guys, there's always compatibility issues, and you put something on there and maybe it won't work. And the pocketbook doesn't run Android at all. The HighSense run Android, but it doesn't have Google Play. iReader and iFlyTech are locked into Baidu ecosystems and WeChat ecosystems. You can't even log into them without a WeChat account. So there's
And
a
you
lot
can't get one
of,
if you live outside China.
because you need a cell phone number in mainland China. So it just seems like one of the only viable real choices of something you can pick up and use, any language, any market. You have Google Play access, is the Onyx Books Poke 2, because it just seems like it's the only one that does everything. And you don't have to worry about, can I play video, can I connect a wireless Bluetooth speaker, because it's just, yes, you can do all that. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I don't like about the Poke 2 Color is the poor retail availability. Onyx
Right.
did a batch one sort of
That's
like
right.
3 or 4 months ago. It sold out in like 3 or 4 hours because they only
That was
produce
Russia only.
Onyx sold it on their website as well, but they had
Mm,
less than 20 when the listing went live.
wow.
So they didn't really have like a lot of people. So people bought it from like a Russian site and got the Russian edition, which is the one
Right.
that we used for our review because
Actually,
like
this one, yeah.
that was the easiest one for us to like get before they actually officially came out. And so with this new batch, the second batch is the final batch. Onyx is not making any more. So the stock that people have is the stock that people have. Like for Goody Reader, we
Yeah.
initially had a stock of 20, and then we got another 20, and then we have like another 60. So we had
But that's
about
it. That's
100 100,
100
yeah,
pieces.
yeah, we had about
Yeah.
100 pieces total, and we can't get any more. Onyx has
No,
basically capped themselves, and they said no matter how well this sells, they're not going to make any more.
that's a good point that I hope people don't just glance over what we said. If you rehear that, they're not making any more. That we have a stock quantity on our available allocation for the amount we have, and when that goes away, it's gone. So that's it. Like these will not be available anymore. Of course, 2021 is gonna pave the way for e-notes and maybe 7.8s and 10.3s. That's great. But for the here and now, if you want something for the foreseeable future, at least the next 3 months, this is the only thing here. So if you want one, head over to our site and buy one, because we are serious. Once it's gone, it is gone. We'll set it to out of stock, and you'll have to find one secondhand because we won't have any. We just can't get any. So
Yeah, so this
that's right.
like the Poke 2 Color will, and actually another e-reader just came out. Let me find it here. So yeah, the Poke 2 Color was probably the last major release of this year.
Right.
But there was also Pocketbook did a special Touch
Oh yeah.
HD3 limited edition.
That came out today, didn't it? I think it came out today.
Yeah, so it's available
Yeah.
now. Let me just look at the product listing here and show you guys it.
They did a limited edition one before this, and it come with like an extended warranty and everything like that.
Yeah, so it comes with a gift box. It comes with a
That's
blue
it. Yeah.
case. It actually, instead of a black device, it's a white device. So it's like pearl white on the front and back. So it like, I mean, it looks really good, and it's about like 199 plus like around 14 shipping. So it's very
Okay.
nice. Like I think that, I don't know, there's something about white devices that are really compelling to me. Like I like the pure white e-readers because so many of
Yeah.
them are just piano black and boring.
Yeah, they're mostly cookie cutter. And just to make sure people know, that pocketbook device is not color, the one we just showed. That's just a regular e-reader. If you do want the pocketbook color, they have it. And the pocketbook color has no stock shortage at all. That it will be readily available. But yeah, white devices are kind of cool. They always feel a little bit premium, like when the Kindle had the manga model was white, and the Sony had their certain model that came out and it was white, and the Max 3 was white, and then they just revert back to the black version when they run out, and it's just business as usual. No, Ace of Base, sorry, yeah, he just commented asking if that one is color. It is not color. It is simply just an e-reader, but it's really cool because it comes with a nice gift box, a free case, and an extended warranty.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't too long ago that I wrote a story on this. Let me try to find it here. Yeah, sort of like a Kindle
There you go.
Paperwhite
Yeah.
versus the Kindle Paperwhite Black. So it's like the same e-reader. Uh, let's try to see. Yeah, I mean,
It
not a
does.
great
And
quality
honestly,
picture, but
there's some R&D there when it comes to your viewing when you look at it.
yeah, I found that with the black
Yeah.
body, your eyes gravitate to what's on the screen here. Whereas if
Right.
you have a white body, the gray screen sort of blends in with like the white
Mm-hmm.
body. So it's personal preference, but I believe that the reason most e-readers are black is because your eyes are drawn to what's on the screen, whereas with the white, it sort of
Yeah.
blends into it.
It's also because the black color absorbs color. It absorbs light, right? So the light shines on it. Your eyes don't, deviate towards the sides. Whereas if you have a white bezel, it just kind of shines back in your eyes, reflects all the light. So um yeah, let's do a little bit of a break and say that we are giving away something. We know a lot of people are invested into e-notes and they have a lot of Wacom devices. If you are running low on stylus nibs for your Wacom pen, here you are. We are giving away a free set of stylus nibs. It comes with 5 nibs and a puller. If you can say to us and answer this question, what is the first e-note? We're talking about the first Wacom e-reader with note-taking capabilities, the ones we all know and
I know
love
what it
now.
is. Can I
You
win?
do? Well, I'm not getting this. Don't say it. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, if you can guess what the first e-note is, or e-ink note-taking device, we will send this to you for free. If you have won a contest prior, you will not win this. Unfortunately, we got to give everyone a chance. And if you don't answer before we finish this video, you can always answer on the VOD in the comments afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, let's go over to a few questions because this is a late night matinee for most people. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter show. Someone says, from Aldo Aparicio said, "Hi guys, I hope everyone is okay. Greetings from Honduras. Do you think we will have a Kindle with color in the coming years?" Mike.
Um, Probably not. If they do it, it probably will not happen in 2021. It'll probably happen in like 2022 or 2023. Amazon's always the last company to do things. They've churned from an innovator to a reactionary based company. And what that means is they respond to the market. So they were so resistant to add a waterproof e-reader until Kobo
Right?
released like three
Yeah.
generations worth of it. Then they
Yeah.
finally did it with the Paperwhite. They were really resistant to using a glow light. It wasn't until like about 4 years after the technology debuted that Amazon eventually used amber LEDs on the Kindle Oasis 3.
Right,
They
right.
did single core processors from about 2007 to about 2017. Then they started using dual core processors in their Kindle Oasis series only. So basically, like, other companies have been using this tech for like 4 or 5 years before Amazon actually does it themselves. They want to see, is the technology proven, has all the bugs been worked out on the manufacturing level, how, what's the QA, quality assurance, like how many units in a production do break using this technology, or
Right.
how much extra does it add to the assembly costs. So once factories are retrofitted to do color e-readers, it'll be easier for Amazon to do, because they do it with Foxconn, whereas like Kobo and Barnes and Noble, they use Nectronics is getting their color e-reading system together as we speak, for actual manufacturing level in Taiwan. In China, that's where most e-readers and smartphones are made. So their factories are done. But because Amazon doesn't use any of these factories, they only use Foxconn. It's totally reliant on Foxconn actually getting their color in order. And Amazon's like a small customer in the greater Foxconn the types of things, because I mean, they do everything from like flagship smartphones to tablets to everything else. They're like the largest manufacturer in China.
Yeah, and if you think about it, we mentioned last week that you might think when we say Amazon's a small customer, and that's because Amazon themselves is large, but that has to do with their, hosting services, their logistics company, all that stuff. The actual e-reader manufacturing portion of their company isn't as large as all these mainstream smartphone tablet manufacturers, so it's just a little bit different. Someone said they still need to add a USB-C before a color screen. Well, if you actually head over to our YouTube channel, you will see that a lot of the color devices, including Onyx and HighSense and iReader and Ifly Tech, they all use USB-C. So actually, we're there already. This one's for you again, Mike, but it's from someone different. He's just tuning in and he says somebody knows about the TCL next paper question mark. I guess he didn't see last week's thing.
It's funny that like there's a lot of interest in this.
Right?
Almost
Every
every
week.
show that we've
Yeah.
done, we get numerous questions on it. The short answer is nobody knows. Nobody knows if TCL is going to be using Next Paper to release products on their own, or whether they're going to license this out to other companies that produce products, like a HighSense or something like that. Typically, like TCL's is a company that like basically has like four different divisions. They have like the smartphone division, the home like division, the like washer dryer division, the
Right.
television division. So like
Yeah.
they have different divisions to the company that are doing different things. Their smartphone division, is the smallest one and the least profitable compared to like their TVs. They
Right.
make so much money on like their budget 4K TVs on Amazon that's like driving revenue. Next
Right.
Paper and like smartphones is like this much of a priority for them. It's like super small. And ever since they announced like the tech a couple of months ago, they haven't replied to my emails. There's been like literally no tech news on any of the sites actually talking about it. So they said it was like the byproduct of like 2 years of like R&D. They announced it like once and like nothing's happened since then. So I believe if nothing has happened yet, we probably won't see anything until like, April, May, June of next year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good assumption. Mayur Gauda says at Goody Reader, do you know what happened to our LCD screens? Yes. Basically, Hisense came out with the Q5, and we've seen this technology at a couple different places and a couple trade shows. Our LCD is very good when you have some light. When you don't, it's terrible because you can't see it. It has very low battery consumption, but very limited in what it can show. It's easy on the eyes, but it is still using LCD, so it's not like e-ink. It's not that great. You turn it to different sides depending on what kind of light you have, ambient, sunlight. It starts to look copper and silver. It's just, it's not that great. And actually the Q5 kind of went away as quick as it came, and it's no longer available.
Yeah,
So
it was basically, it came out and like 2 weeks later they said it was discontinued.
someone is spamming us right now saying, reply to me, reply to me, reply to me. And all he's saying is giveaway, giveaway. So, Samadan Kurdi, I'm not sure what you are referring to. We have put out the giveaway for this video. If you are willing to answer the question of the first e-note, you are more than welcome for this prize. So please stop spamming us, or unfortunately, we'll have to mute you because it's a little
Just
bit
mute him.
yeah, it's a little bit distracting. Everyone give him a chance, but if he does 7 or 8 more of these, it's just not, it's not in tune with what we're doing. Actually, someone, Noah Grossman, says, Mike, I love the Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt. He caught it. I knew, I said before, I was like, change your shirt, and you're like, no. Someone said, any word on any more colored e-ink products from Onyx?
So one of the interesting things about sort of like what we do here, hang on, I had to put that guy in timeout.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah. I was gonna do that. I was just gonna let him see if he wanted to
No, man, don't.
answer the
We can't
question.
handle spammers because it basically dissuades other people from answering
it
questions
it
who ask
flooded
it
the
about
chat to
once.
the point where it pushed everyone down, and he's not responding to anything. So he will be on mute for a few minutes. If he wants to come back and answer properly, that's great. If not, we'll have to kind of throw him out of the game for now. But yes, Michael, any word on future, or sorry, upcoming colored Onyx?
Well, first of all, Camp Crystal Lake. I mean, I've been a fan of the Friday for like the 13th series since it's come out. Like for me, I like campy horror, no pun intended. Like I like
Yeah.
like the early like Dream Warriors of you know, uh Nightmare on Elm Street. Like it's just like I'm a wizard, and fighting Freddy in his dream is like dressed up as like a wizard with stars on his hat and stuff. It's just phenomenal stuff. I'm not a fan of like, bloody hack and slash or like, torture and like stuff like that. I really don't like that. I
What
like
about Cabin in the Woods? The one where
okay,
it kind of gives you a mind thing at the end.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, like a young Chris Hemsworth was in that before
Yeah,
he
yeah,
really
yeah.
did like the Avengers or like, he was a totally, a lot of the actors in that movie were unknown at the time and had like crazy careers like from it. I liked Cabin in the Woods just because it was like a psychological type of movie.
Yeah, yeah.
You almost thought it was going to be like sort of like a killer just one by one killing everyone, but
Yeah,
that
they set you
generally
up for that with like the girlfriends, and like the scenes, and it was campy to the point where they just built it up to be like, yeah, okay, it's by the book, and the killer's gonna come out, and that's gonna be the end. And then
let's
there's
go
things like,
investigate the basement.
yeah, yeah, great.
you
Split up.
know
Yeah.
exactly,
But
it's
yeah,
like
Onyx Color, sorry.
so okay, so I can only say so much because like we have like a journalism arm, but we also have a store arm, so we're actually privy to a lot of stuff that we can't talk about.
That is
But
correct.
from what I can infer is that the reason why the Poke 2 color was a limited edition is probably because they're going to be adding like the color filter array to the Poke 3 and doing like a Poke 3 color edition sometime next year. I think the reason why they're doing that is because like the Poke 3 has a better screen, like a two-tone body. It has like more RAM. It has a better Snapdragon processor. Like it has more things going for it than like older Poke 2 hardware that basically what came out like in 2019.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I think that they'll probably add the color filter array to the Poke 3, and I think that they'll probably do that with the second generation E-Ink Kaleido. So they'll probably do like a Poke 3 a Nova 3 color and a Note 3 color. Those are probably,
Yeah.
I could infer that that is probably likely to do, because generally Onyx refreshes their hardware every year, and generally they basically redo their entire product line every year, whereas like Amazon does it every 2 years. Kobo generally only releases one device a year. Barnes and Noble does it like every 3 years generally. So Onyx is like Boyu does it every 2 years right now. So Onyx is one of the few e-reader companies, aside from Pocketbook, that
Yeah.
Pocketbook does almost refreshes their entire product line every year, which is really
Right.
awesome to see. I like these indie companies like that are constantly innovating, taking risks, doing, using unproven tech and stuff like that. So that's what I think that they're going to do, but I don't think it's probably going to come out until like, around the same time next year, like summer, fall, winter, probably fall,
Yeah.
winter.
Everyone's got to get a hand on the whole virus situation first before anything else happens. But it's safe to say that that is really the next step for Onyx. I mean, all they do is not in a bad way, but they went Nova, Nova Pro, Nova 1, 2, 3, and it's like, well, what's going to be next? I mean, you beefed up your hardware base to be so good, right? I mean, it's got to be next kind of thing. So, yeah, someone said ghosting is pretty annoying, and it's not a question, but I agree, Dan Zan. It is very annoying, but it's crucial because you can't please everybody. If you don't have any modes to allow for videos, to allow for scrolling on Instagram, people are going to complain. But then you have the modes, you give people what they want, and they complain. So it's like you can't have it all with e-ink yet. It's just not there. It can't be an LCD screen because, well, just go buy an LCD screen. I'm not saying it down to you, but I'm saying it to the world, is that people expect e-ink to be an LCD screen and last, 4 weeks and only charge once a month. And it's just, that's not the reality of it. It's slow technology, but it has its benefits. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean, in
can't
time,
be LCD. Yeah.
yeah, you got to
And
give a few years for it to like.
And actually, following up to that, I'll leave this one to you, Michael. Is Mayur Gauda asked, what is the next big leap for e-ink? Not color, but like the next tech that will dominate the e-ink market.
So
Like, what else could they do, basically? And we were talking about this about the Kindle, remember?
hang on, I'll show you.
I'm going to answer one question before you screen share from Mamasi. He says, are you going to do a review on the Stadler Norris stylus? I actually know what that is because when me and the team went to the CTAC convention in Tokyo, we saw companies like Mitsubishi and Stadler that were using actual HB2 number 2 pencils with a Wacom stylus cartridge inside where you can actually write on the screen with holding an HB2 number 2 like wood pencil. So yes, we are actually going to get around to those. Those are about $40. Same with the Mitsubishi ones we saw. So we will hopefully get around with that.
Yeah. I'm having
I
a
can
hard
take
time.
another.
Yeah,
I can
go
take
ahead.
another question. Yeah, for sure. I'm terribly sorry. I can't read Russian script, so I can't even pronounce your name. M backwards N C capital T but really small E P G. So I'm terribly sorry. I can't read that. Mark Sepp. When in the market will we see a cheap monitor for work? So in the world of secondary monitors for e-ink, there are only two major ones. Dasung and Onyx. Dasung is incredibly expensive, but does it really, really well. In fact, they were the first people to put glow lights on a 13.3. They're really expensive though. They're like $1,400. Onyx can do secondary screen capture, but it's not as good as Dasung. But you don't need any power, you don't need drivers, you don't need any weird cables. So in terms of a cheap secondary monitor, there's just none. They're like $800 USD and above. So unfortunately, it's just there's nothing there.
Yeah, I'll show you guys some stuff.
Cool. We got a screen share going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the one we got the exclusive. We filmed that.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
this is going to be like the next big thing, I think.
That, you know what's funny? Mike and his team found that out that near our Japanese office for Good e-Reader was these guys have a Tokyo R&D lab, and we went over there and we got some content. And this is actually one of our most viewed videos on all of YouTube in the past 12 years. So that's saying something. You know, we listen to our viewers and we see this, and we actually did a follow-up video which was just as successful, and we were like, okay, there's something here. Maybe not the light bar up top, but maybe if they integrate it, there's definitely something there.
I mean, it's a prototype, so it's like
Yeah,
it's
but the
kind of
idea.
it's yeah. I mean, you know, from they've done like 3 or 4 prototypes, from like adding buttons on the side to like you know, you're seeing earlier models here that like these buttons are different on the earlier
Yeah,
models. You know, they
right.
have like a different light bar on the top now
The
instead
hinge
of
has
like, yeah,
changed a little bit.
exactly. There's
Yeah.
less space between like the hinges and stuff like that. So I think that that is more likely to appear. I know that various e-ink partners like Plastic Logic, Fujitsu, and one other one has developed anywhere between 500 ppi and like 700 ppi
And if
base
you guys
speed
don't know, that's a
screens.
lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
basically
It's
the
big.
highest PPI that we can have now is 300 PPI. It's sort of like a ceiling that we've hit with e-ink
Right.
displays. So the Kindle Paperwhite, 300 PPI. The
Yeah.
Kobo Libra HTO, 300 PPI. The larger the screen, the lower the PPI goes, because the pixels per inch, like you can only show so much on a larger screen. But if you have like a larger screen and you can get to 500 or 600 PPI, you know, you'll have a 6-inch Kindle Paperwhite that's like 6 or 700 PPI, which is basically the
Right.
pixels and everything like that would be indistinguishable to your human eye. And instead of like a 13.3-inch e-reader being like 207 PPI or like 227 PPI, I forget, I'm like 10 PPI off, but
Idiot.
you know,
You're ruining
basically
this for us.
you can go from like 200 ppi to like 400 ppi on like a 13.3-inch e-reader. That'll be huge. So yeah, foldable displays and
Yeah.
higher ppi, I
Higher
think that
density.
those are the two things that e can do, that they've proven with tech demos that they can do. It's just a matter of like, will their established partners pony up like the money, like to actually be the first ones to try it out.
And it's something that needs to be said, is that e-ink screens are already flexible. The Wexler did it, you know, the Tokyo R&D lab did it. It's already proven that the screens themselves are flexible. That's not the issue. It's the components and how you position the ribbon cables, and you know,
The
there's enough
batteries.
leave. The batteries, you can't flex a battery yet unless you use like, you know, like a pack of cells that are all spread out so that the energy draws from different places. It's basically component placement inside the device, not the screen. The screen's already proven to be flexible. So yeah. Danzan Tsu says, Poke 2 seems interesting. Does it have an invert color mode like the newer Kindle models? It can on certain apps that allow for it. So it's capable, but it doesn't have a system wide. So it doesn't do it from head to toe. No. Someone says, is there a solution for e-ink screens to be more fluid? Not even an initiative. At this point, as we mentioned earlier, reducing the load on the device is the only thing we can do right now. So reducing the image quality to allow fluidity is the way we can do it, and reducing the amount of times the screen refreshes. Yes, it adds staining, it adds ghosting, but that's the reality, is that you can do it and you can watch videos. We've proven it for the past couple of years now, but it's just not there to the point where everyone's expecting it to be like you're watching right now on your computer screen.
All right, so I'm gonna respond to a question from Kevin, who's a long
Kevin's a
time.
long time, man. He's a guy. Yeah, he's a loyal fan of ours. Lives in Singapore, and he's a long time. Go
Yeah,
for it.
so what Kindle is good, Paperwhite or Oasis, but not the $200.99 basic model. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I never recommend like the entry level Kindle, the one with the front light now, 167 PPI. It's garbage. It's basically designed for people who are like new to e-readers. So like something
Yeah.
to buy your mom, or like something that like my mom likes to read, but will she actually use this? Well, I can get it on sale for like $50. So it's like, here, mom, Merry Christmas, or like,
Throw it at her.
yeah, exactly. It's something that like you would buy someone because maybe you've noticed them reading a lot, or they read books a lot, but whether they would actually read ebooks or read digitally, that's where you would buy them, like the crappy Kindle. I would probably recommend that, like, if you have the money, buy the Kindle Oasis, and don't buy like the first generation that has like the built-in case. Battery life was like a week or less without the
Right.
case.
That was awful. Yeah.
Yeah, buy the third generation one. Amazon rarely puts them on sale, so like you rarely get it. I think Amazon has discounted it like once a year since they've launched it. So it's like they on average discount it by like, maybe 30 or $40 once a year.
Yeah.
And not even like on Black Friday or Prime Day did they really sort of do it. They just do it like randomly, whether it's to get rid of old stock for new stock or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the Kindle Oasis, because it has a larger screen, so more text could fit on a screen at any given time, whereas like the Paperwhite only has a 6-inch screen. So if
Hmm.
I always go for bigger e-readers, because like you can increase the font size and still have a lot of words per page. So it's like you
Yeah.
spend less time flipping, tapping the churn to the next page, or if it has continuous scroll or something like that. But the less page turns that you make, the more that you actually have more immersion, like in a book, and it gives you a chance to, for your, if you read more text on a page at once, and then you're taking less page turns, when the page turn happens, your mind like has a little bit of time to process everything that you've just read. But if you constantly on a 6-inch screen have the fonts up a little bit big, like literally maybe like 60 words on a page, but like on the Oasis you can fit like about like double that, maybe like 120,
Hmm.
140 page like words
Yeah.
on a page if you have the fonts up a little bit more. So uh I always go for bigger screens because like I like my mind to pause a bit when I'm flipping like the pages and just like reflect back on like what I just read.
Yeah. And actually, you don't have to swing for the third gen Oasis because really the only difference is the warm lighting for the most part. The second gen is good. It's not the first gen with that weird case that you need for the battery, but it's not the most latest and greatest. But honestly, build quality, screen, everything else is exactly the same between the two and the three. I think the three came in gold as an optional color, and
Rose
it's
gold.
yeah, that's right. And it had warm lighting. So if you don't need the warm lighting and you still need glow light, the two is cool too. And speaking of sales, Jeremy Cox asked, since Color E-Ink is starting to launch, do you think there will be Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals on regular e-readers? Yes and no. And well, yeah, basically, it's not just that the color came out. That means regular e-readers are going down because they're just so apples and oranges. Color is not going to replace e-ink at this point in time. So yes, there will be Cyber Monday, Black Friday deals on everything. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. Pocketbook doesn't really run their own store. Onyx,
Yes.
I don't believe Onyx has really ever had Black Friday deals. If they have, they've just done it like on their AliExpress site, or like sometimes on their own website, but they don't really have like a really dedicated website team to like always change things. Um,
Right.
Onyx has like a lot of global distribution channels, like through Amazon, and they have like a lot of partners.
And
So
Ectaco. They
uh,
sell on Ectaco as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Attaco's sort of like their US retailer, because I think Attaco actually has like a few stores Eastern United States or something like that, where people could actually go into their offices. It's basically their
Yeah.
offices, where you can actually browse and buy. But in terms of Black Friday, Amazon always has Black Friday deals on like Amazon devices. So like various Alexa based products. And my Alexa light like just turned on. Hi Alexa. Uh,
I turned mine off.
she just said hello. So yeah, I mean you can
Let her
get
take over. See what
exactly.
happens. You turn on yours, I'll turn on mine and let them chat. And we'll just be like,
I've seen videos where like people are
I've seen those.
introducing them between a Chromecast and like an A word.
Yeah.
And you know it's funny they actually carry on conversations. But I know with Goody Reader we're going to be having Black Friday sales. I mean we have sales like all the time, but yeah, we're going to have
Yeah.
like a Black Friday week like promotion happening sort of at the end of the month. Discounts are not going to be like off the charts like 50% savings or anything like that, but you will see some pretty good deals on some pretty interesting
And
products.
last week we actually opened up the Goody Reader flea market. So there's always crazy steals on that section. It's not going to be, 2020 models, brand new Kindle Oasis on there, but you will find some good stuff. And if you're a little short on cash or you can't spend $700 on a note-taking device, which is totally understandable. Some e-readers are fairly expensive. We actually have a flea market, and there's always about 15 to 20 units on there, and they're on hand, and they ship off immediately. And it's just good to have a little bit of a balance for maybe people that can't buy like the iPhone 12s of e-readers. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to have it there.
Yeah.
Someone says, Kevin again, he's really chiming in. He says, Lightbook Mimus is still on firmware 2.3, which runs Android 6. Yes, actually, Michael and the team has been in communication with Boyu, and Boyu has released two Android 8.1 device updates for the Muses and the Mars. Their other ones are to follow, but we don't know if they're going to come out with any specific date. The Mimus, the Elita, and the Aries have not had the update yet, I think.
Yeah, so this is our flea market section.
Oh, we're going back to that, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we've just sort of like developed. You can generally save like 40 or 50 bucks, sometimes more on
That's
like
right.
various devices. I think we've sold like about 50 or 60 so far since we launched it a couple days ago. We're still working on like adding more products and things like that.
Yeah.
So
And
that adding
these are
like a
not like
graphic to like our store, so like it's in
right.
sort of like the carousel at the top. And we're just getting
And
like a graphics girl I deal with to like do something like that.
it's going to look good. And these devices aren't like broken returns and stuff like that. These are actually samples, review samples, and devices that we either haven't given away yet or can't give away or whatever the case may be. So it's just stuff that we've used in the studio. It's not old garbage, and everything works and it's all good. So someone said, are there any warranties on flea market items? If the device was made and released within a year, Krishna, yes, there will be warranty. But the older things like the Yoda phone, unfortunately, no, there will not be any warranty unless you purchase a extended warranty through us. We will honor it because it's in-house. We warranty the
Yeah,
products.
like a lot of the products that we sell are like modern devices, like that are made
Yeah,
in 20 either made in 2020 or made in 2019. The vast majority of items we get for free, and then we just basically unbox them, review them on our YouTube channel, and then take pictures of them for like our website. So it's like
right.
they're used very lightly, and it's like they're used in the studio. Once we're done, we just put it back in the retail packaging, and like off it sits on like a shelf. And like I think we noticed that's like we had like 130 different e-readers and stuff like in various boxes. Keep like, a wobbly table instead of wobbly. Just like most people just put like a piece of cork under it. We put like a Kindle under it. I mean, not
We
really,
put
but like,
e-readers on top of other e-readers so that they don't touch other e-readers. So it's like,
yeah,
I
it
want to
was
set this
like
on my table. I got to put an e-reader down and put this e-reader on it.
it was literally getting out of control. And that's like why really we
Yeah,
do contests on YouTube like
I was gonna
every
say
week,
we don't
because it's just
short
like
on the
we have
contests.
so
Yeah,
much stuff that's
stuff.
like it's just like yeah, it's too much. So it's like
We
and even
don't
giving
get the
away
free samples in. Yeah,
yeah, even giving
good.
e-readers away weekly for free on YouTube, we still have too many. So it's like
We
we
can't
can't
give
give
them
away
away
enough.
faster. That's right, faster than we actually get them. And we return a lot of our samples. We send samples to other news agencies and other news publications, but we've been in the business for 12 years. I mean, as we said on our last video, people send us stuff in an unmarked box that just says, technology industries, and it says, here it is, and it's addressed to us. We open it up in the office, 2 or 3 parcels, and they're just devices. So it's like we can't even give them away faster than we get them, and we donate a lot of things to different news publications and other blogs, and we give stuff away to our fans, and just we do
These
constant giveaways.
giveaways like on the live stream that we're doing
That's
here,
right.
it's like,
Yep.
these are the types of things that's like we just have too much of, and it's like that's
It's too much.
but
Yeah,
like a lot of things too that we pay for ourselves, because like,
that's right.
certain companies will always give us stuff for free, other companies we have to buy it, so it's sort of
No,
like
there's just too much red tape in the way.
it's
Sometimes we
like
just can't get it.
yeah, it's like 50-50. It's like we can't
Yeah.
get the free right typewriters for free, so we have to buy it. So
Hey, Mike,
we,
guess what? Rohan asked, when's the next TCL next paper? Completely different guy.
uh
Watch the video, Rohan. We'll end it. You watch
scroll
the
back
vlog.
like 30,
Yeah.
like 20 minutes. No, but
Watch
to
the
be
video.
honest, there's no date. It's who
Yeah.
knows when it's going to be released. Like
Right.
TCL announced it hasn't said anything since, like nothing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we mention it in every single video because we get 2 or 3 people that ask, and unfortunately, it's just not here. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we touched on a lot. We touched on 2009 to 2013 history of Color E-Ink, all the way from Fujitsu to Pocketbook. We touched on the recent swarm of E-Ink, which is wave number 2, and I guess wave 3, much like the virus, is coming right up, maybe next year, early on, and we should see some note-taking capabilities. Me and the team went to the Tokyo trade show CTAC last year, and we actually used the Color E-Ink note taking with Wacom. Red, blue, green, it works. So it's all there. All the pieces are there. Just someone needs to put it together. So, you know, let's get going with 2021. And that should actually hit the end of our show for the midweek. So we're gonna gauge the analytics for the next couple days, see if this time slot works. But otherwise, we'll be live again on the weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about other stuff.
Yeah, okay, we should wrap up pretty soon now though, because we're out of questions and we're all good on the topics, I believe.
So I guess a lot of people are getting like their iPhone like Pro Maxes now. Sort of
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
the larger phones. Apple's
yeah.
actually shipping it out, and same with the sort of the new Mac Minis using the new A1 chip. So that's pretty exciting. I haven't bought it personally, and I'm not exalted enough to be on Apple's like press page to be up to that. There is a little known movie called Superwoman 1984. It's like the new sort of like Wonder
Oh
Woman
yeah, yeah.
show. Did you see the first movie?
I saw the movies. Yeah, I didn't see
Okay.
the. I didn't see the. Yeah,
Okay,
the
so
show.
they made okay, so they made one movie like a few years ago, which was like her origins kind of story, and they're doing like another one that's coming out in December, and it's going to be streamed online at the same time that it's in theaters. So people with the pandemic could either go to the theater and see it, or they could actually like watch it on like HBO Max. So it's like one of the first big budget huge movies that are actually like simultaneously streaming on the same day that it came out. So I'm pretty excited about that, because like if there's anything that the pandemic has shown is that, with the Mulan movie, they pushed the release date back, they pushed the release date back, they pushed the release date back, and then it was like finally like, screw it, we're just gonna put it on Disney Plus and try to get a bunch of subscribers, and then we'll just like throw it on like iTunes and stuff. And I think that like simultaneous digital releases at the same time they hit theaters, pandemic or not, um, is cool business. Like I think with Mulan, they charged like an extra like $20 on top of your subscription fees to actually like do it. But with the Wonder Woman, the sort of sequel movie, they're not charging anything extra, mainly because it's not on Disney Plus. But I just think it's like interesting for like the film industry in general to have like a seismic shift in like their philosophy. If only we'll finally get that Black Widow movie that's like supposed to be shown like 6 months ago, and they haven't even pushed it. Like they really want to show it in theaters. Same with that Christopher Nolan movie, the time traveling movie. They also sort of refused to like do streaming. It's like we're just gonna push it back enough to like finally the pandemic ends, but I don't think it's gonna end anytime soon. Which
That's
sucks for
right.
the it sucks for the e-reader industry because like the Kobo Nia came out like almost in the summertime. It was actually supposed to be released like before Mother's Day, but the pandemic has basically slowed the entire e-reader industry because like it's just like things are just taking so much longer to make. Sourcing components is taking so much longer. There's not enough components to like basically go around, just because of like the pandemic. It's just like fewer most factories are open, but they're only working on like a skeleton crew. They're not working at like 100% capacity because it's like
That's right.
they have limits on how many people could work in shifts. Because like before, it's like, you see me here and you see Peter there. And it's like, this is how close that people were actually sitting next to each other. Whereas like now it's like they need like distance. So instead of having someone like right here and then right here, it's like, they're having two people like 5 or 6 feet apart, which is like cutting down on the number of things that can be made, which basically cuts down on the number of new e-readers that people can make. So yeah, it's just a cascading effect, which kind of sucks.
That's right.
So
I'm all good on my end. I think we're out of questions, and we will hit everybody up on the weekend.
yeah, so we're going to be going live again on Saturday,
Yep.
5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern,
Yep.
and you can just do the math on like Central and GMT and all your various
And
time zones from all over the
UTC.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that. But thanks for everyone who's tuned in, and it remains to be seen if we'll do another sort of midweek show, a more casual show where we're just jaunting back and forth between amongst me and Peter and
That's right.
your Q's and answering your A's. Thanks for everyone for watching. My name is Michael, and you've been
This
watching
is
Good
Peter.
Reader Live.